Hello, it's Victor Paul here from Seeds for Freedom Ministries, and I'm here live online with a word in season. And I'm just going to wait now for some of you to join me before I proceed any further. Right. Well, let's see who we got now. Come on now, you don't want to miss this. You know, I'm going to be sharing a bit of Lorraine's birthday cake. I am online with you all. You know, I just want to thank you for those of you who sent your best birthday wishes to Lorraine. She had a beautiful day. You know, we had a great time of celebration. And, well, this is her cake, right? Compliments of the Loch Cafe Cumbrian. Yes, she hasn't eaten it yet. The candle's still burning on it too. Gosh, that says something, doesn't it? Right, so we got one person with us. Lorraine has joined us, so I think we can proceed. As long as there is that one person, I'll proceed. But one thing I won't do, I won't just speak into a computer. I don't like it. My name's not Scotty of Star Trek. But what I want to look at tonight, and it's only going to be very, very brief. Seeds of Freedom saying hi, and I say hi to Seeds of Freedom back there. But I want to look at the miracles in the life of Jesus, and we're looking at the case of Lazarus, and the subject matter is called Lazarus issues. I haven't had much chance to do any study. I got no notes in front of me. I've just read through the chapter, which is 44 verses. Now, I'm not going to read that tonight. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to start from the first verse in John chapter 11, and from verse 1 to verse 3. Right, now a certain man was sick, named Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. It was that Mary which anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore his sisters sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. Now, I'm going to stop here. I'm just going to close the Bible a minute, right? And I'm going to just ponder a minute on those words. Now, Bethany was the house of Jesus, his friends. He loved Lazarus. He loved Mary and Martha. You can read it for yourself in this chapter. Now, you might think, right, why didn't Jesus come straight away, rushing onto the scene, say, I will come to him now? Like he did with Jairus' daughter. He came straight away. Like he offered to do with the Roman centurion. He said, I will come. But of course, the Roman centurion, he said, just speak the word, and my servant, shall be healed. But why this delay in the case of Lazarus? And we get in to a point here. Word went out. Mary and Martha knew who to call for, but Jesus didn't make a move until 2 days later. And when he got to Bethany, it already found that Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. So, why is that? And, it can be the same in our lives. It seems like if God is responding to everybody else's needs, they being met instantaneous. Boom, 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 boom. You want a job one week, you walk into one the next, right? It happens, right? And then you want, to to have an open door, an open career opportunity, and there's nothing. You need the miracle, or you need the healing. Well, it seems like if God has just passed you by for the time being, and you just feel like, oh God, when are you going to move for me? Time's running out. How many of you felt like that? Well, Mary and Martha must have felt like that. Time was running out. Time was working against them. Lazarus was getting weaker in his sickness. It was probably a fever. You don't know. It might have been appendicitis. Well, you burn up a temperature with appendicitis. I know because I had appendicitis. But so Lazarus, we see he was getting weaker. Anyway, I'm going to have a drop of tea, if you'd excuse me a minute. And I could imagine Mary and Martha hoping, saying to their brother, hold on, Lazarus. Jesus will be here. He'll be there on time. Don't worry. You just got to keep breathing. You just got to keep breathing. Maybe you've been telling yourself that. Just keep breathing. Just keep breathing. Just keep that vision alive that God has birthed within you. Jesus is going to be coming soon. There's going to be a way made soon. But it doesn't seem to be happening. And we see that Lazarus succumbs to his sickness, don't we? And the first thing that is lost in death is sight. Sight is the first sense of the five senses that is lost during death. Hearing is the last, but sight is the first. And what happens then, folks, when vision starts? Well, something starts to die in our lives, in our hearts, right? Maybe that vision that God had given us, maybe that call that God had given us, maybe that commission that God had given us, maybe that ambition that he had placed within you to become a businessman or businesswoman, when that begins to die, the first thing that is lost before the last breath is exhaled is vision. That's the first thing that is lost. But there is a reason. There is oftentimes, when God operates on a late shift. Let me say this, God is never late in his schedule, right? We can delay the purposes of God, mind, but God is never late in his schedule at all. He's good at timekeeping. He's got no problem in keeping up with himself at all, because he operates on the basis of eternity. He's not looking at your clock so much. He's looking from his own perspective of eternity. But there's another point as well that I want to make out of it. When God operates on the basis of later, it's so that we can receive that which is greater. Later, from God's perspective, is greater. Wow. Some of you might be waiting for some answers for prayer, and they don't seem to be forthcoming at the moment. And I'm in that position at the moment. But when God operates on a later basis, when God doesn't answer instantly, it means there's something greater coming up. Look at in the life of Abraham and Sarah. What if God had blessed them with Isaac? When Sarah was in her 40s when she was in her 50s. You know, there was still time was running out, but, you know, God could have come through then. But you know what, folks? People would say, yes, God has blessed me with my Isaac. But where was the miracle involved? Where was the miracle? Sarah had to wait till she was 90. Abraham had to wait till he was 100 years old. And the only way that could be, the only thing that could be attributed to was the miraculous intervention of God. So if God is operating on the basis of later, be encouraged, all right? There's something even greater that's coming up for you than maybe for those who received that instant response. Well, we see now, let's move on a bit, shall we? And we see that Jesus arrives at Bethany. Excuse me, I'm just going to have another cup of tea. And we see that Martha runs to him and said, if only you had come sooner, my brother would have lived. You know, there's a lot of if onlys about it. We were expecting you, but you didn't show. You know, Mary said the same thing. Both Mary and Martha said the same thing. Don't forget, if only you would come sooner, my brother would have lived. You know, Jesus has come on the scene now. And they weren't expecting what was coming. They weren't. Right? But there's a lot of if-onlys about it. And the fact is that both Martha and Mary were saying the same thing. It shows it's a common feeling. If only, right? You might say that there is a bit of blame attached to this as well, and that they may have been thinking, you're late. Too late. You know, if somebody could, you know, like Jesus had come and healed Lazarus and didn't do it, how would you have felt if you were there? You know, but one thing they knew about Jesus' the healings of Jesus. They knew about him making the blind to see, the deaf to hear, the lame to walk, you know. But there is no mention in the equation of their understanding of him raising the dead. So this was a revelation that was about to dawn on them of Christ authority, of his divinity and his dominion even over death. He said, I am, he said. Now, when Jesus said, I am, he was stating who he was. He was speaking from a place, a position of authority, a position of divinity as well. I am the resurrection and the life. See, revelation was dawning. It was a dawn of revelation they were going to see for themselves, because Jesus said, if you would believe, you would see the glory of God. Now that word believe, it's in the Greek, and I'm just going to bring the one Greek word, I promise you this time, all right? It's pistuo. I'll say it again, pistuo. And it has the ingredients of faith, but it's not quite to the standard of pistis. That's in relation to Hebrews 11:1, that is. But that word pistuo, it means believe and trust. That he's not asking them to have pistis, right? They've been through a shattering experience, right? Jesus is condescending down to their level. He's showing, look, that he can perfectly understand their humanity, right? And that's why he weeps at the tomb of Lazarus, by the way. So we see, divinity, majesty, and we see humanity as well within the equation. That's the revelation of this miracle in the raising of Lazarus. But, so, Jesus is not asking them to have an assurance. Jesus is not asking them to be fully persuaded, like the word pistis describes, but he's just saying, simply trust me. And that would have been difficult enough, because look at what they'd experienced. Don't be too quick to say to a person, oh, just, trusting God when they've just experienced a bereavement of any kind. Be careful of how you come across to them. Oh, trust that they're in heaven now and they're in, they're having a wonderful time. They would want you to feel like this, let's be careful with our answers. I've seen people do a lot of damage by, making quotations like that. And then it's followed by, well, you shouldn't be feeling the way you're doing either. Just like Eliphaz said to Job, when Job had lost his children, when sudden tragedy had struck. So you be careful, what you say to people that are suffering in grief, right? And even when it comes to talking about heaven, be careful, because that can be interpreted as you trying to trivialize their pain. Right. So let's move on a bit now, because I want to keep this under 30 minutes, okay? Jesus comes then to the tomb, and he instructs Mary and Martha, I believe it's both of them, to take away the stone. But Mary comes up with an objection. But, you don't know. He's been in there 4 days and he stinketh. Now, the stone can represent our objections. We don't want Jesus moving into that area of pain in our lives, whatever it's in relation to, whatever loss. It could be in relation to a loss of a friendship. It could be in relation to a loss of a career. It could be in relation to the loss of health. It could be in relation to a loss of a marriage. And we don't want Jesus to move into that area to minister to the hurt. There's a lot of stinking attitudes that also can lay behind that stone. Lazarus was 4 days in that tomb, and already he had begun to stink. See, folks, buried issues in our lives will cause our attitudes sometimes to stink. Okay, buried issues, you might want to make note of it, can often be accompanied by attitude. And, those are the very issues we want to oftentimes keep the Holy Spirit on the outside of. No, you staying on the other side of that stone. You're not going any further than here. No, I'm not going to move that stone. I have objection. I object to that idea. we can be very protective, but they do roll away that stone, right? Excuse me, I'm just going to have another sip of tea. I'm not going to get up to make myself another one until after this live stream is over, okay? Prophetic Heart Explosion said, let's make sure our attitude is right. Yes, I 100% agree with you there. And Jesus then, with a loud voice, he calls Lazarus to come forth, right? God wants to call you forth, right? There are giftings that have laid buried. Hope has died, and the giftings have been buried along with the hope that you once had. There are authors, there are musicians, there are businessmen, there are inventors, there are pastors and evangelists, apostles, prophets, teachers, fivefold ministers that need to be called forth. Because you've been buried. Something has taken you out and something has buried you. But Jesus is calling your name, right? Paul, come forth. Victor, come forth. Peter, come forth. Andrew, come forth. Joanna, come forth. Robert, come forth. Come on, you put your name to that if you want to as well. Come forth. God is calling you forth. Maybe God is calling that genius in you forward. Who knows what you will invent in time to come. There's a lot of, you go into the graveyard, it's a very sad place. It's not just because, there are dead people there. No, that's sad enough, and I'm not minimizing that grief at all, right? But it's lost potential. And that's what God maybe wanted to be calling forth in you and me at this time. We got buried. Something took us out. We got sick. Hope became deferred and the heart became sick. And we were buried. I've forgotten about maybe. Excuse me. We see that Lazarus comes forth bound in his grave clothes. I'm finishing up on here, doing good. It's only 23 minutes and 28 seconds. We see that Lazarus has come forth now in his grave clothes. And Jesus says to people, loose him and let him go. And what do? Right? They got to take off. First thing that they got to do, they got to restore vision. You got to take off the face covering. Got to, being in the dark is very disorientating. He doesn't know where he is. He's just heard Jesus calling his name, come forth. Lazarus, come forth. And he's standing now in the dark. So he needs his vision restored, number one. Secondly, don't forget, he was bound hand and foot. Your feet need to be unbound, rather. Excuse my poor English. Your feet need to be loose because you've got to walk into your destiny, right? Your hands need to be loose. Don't forget he was bound hand and foot. Vision is restored, but what's the good of vision if you are bound hand and foot? Maybe people have been trying to bind you by hand and by foot for too long, and that's what maybe helped or maybe caused that vision to die in the first place in you. So you got to be released. You have from the feet up, because your feet will take you into your destiny. But it's your hands then have got to be released. So that is what will cause you to become operational in that destiny as well. It's no good, walking into your destiny if your hands are all bound up. Maybe your hands are being bound up by the fear of man. And maybe your feet have as well. And they've said, no, you can't. And they start binding you up and they start wrapping the dressings on you. And before long, folks, then they put the face covering and then you suffocate and then you're buried and then you're forgotten about. And it takes God to call you forth. It does. Sometimes the grave clothes, the dresses, can also speak about the bandages that we can place upon ourselves as well. And hello, Aaron Amiga, great to see you, my friend. It can speak about the bandages that we place upon ourselves. We covering up the wounds. But you know what, folks? It takes others to release us. God will use other people to release you. It's people that have bound you up, yes. But God can also use people to release you. I hope this word has proven a blessing unto you. For now, I'd say good night and God bless. Please excuse the dog barking. And he's only doing what he does naturally. He's a good house dog, okay? But I'll be with you soon. Until then, folks, I'll say take care of yourself wherever you are. Bye for now.